Hey, Soul Stories fam! We're about to begin a brand new love journey. Please comment on where you're watching from so we can see that our Soul Stories family is all around the world. Rain fell steadily on the glass roof of St. Vincent Hospital, persistent, tired, as if even the sky had grown weary of witnessing so many human tears. Lila Carter tightened the blanket around her son and hurried down the corridor, which reeked faintly of antiseptic. The child in her arms burned with fever, his breath coming in ragged gasps, eyelids heavy from exhaustion. She had been working all week at a small cafe near the square, sleeping no more than 3 hours a night. Now seeing Caleb lying on the hospital bed with a thin oxygen tube at his nose, all she could feel inside was a vast, echoing emptiness. Lila sank into the cold plastic chair beside the bed, her trembling hand brushing through her son's soft hair. "You'll be okay, won't you?" she whispered, but even her own voice sounded like something she could no longer believe in. From the emergency room next door came a sterile rhythm, the shuffle of doctors' shoes, the rustle of charts, the steady beep of a heart monitor. It all sounded like a soulless piece of music repeating endlessly, as if everyone had forgotten why they were still alive. Lila bowed her head to her knees, shoulders shaking. For 3 years, she hadn't allowed herself to break. But tonight, hearing her child's hoarse cries, something inside her finally collapsed. The elevator doors slid open. A group of people stepped out, leather shoes clicking, phones buzzing, voices low but full of command. At the center was Travis Holt. He walked slowly, eyes fixed on the iPad in his hand. The collar of his white shirt was unbuttoned, and his dark hair was streaked faintly with gray. He looked exactly the same as he had 3 years ago, except now the fatigue in his gaze was deeper, sharper, like a man who had learned to hide his soul behind cold precision. Lila looked up, her breath caught in her chest. She never thought she would see him again. Not here, not like this, and certainly not with the child who carried his eyes lying in that hospital bed. Travis stopped when he saw her. At first it was just a passing glance, detached, like with any stranger. Then his gaze lingered. Longer than it should have. Something familiar tugged at him. The thin frame, the tired face, the eyes that once looked at him with a tenderness he had refused to see. "Lila," he said at last, voice low, rough, uncertain of his own memory. She rose to her feet, pale but steady, her tear-filled eyes shining. "It's been a while, Mr. Holt." Her voice was so quiet that only he could hear it, yet it was enough to make him freeze. His eyes flicked to the child on the bed, the small face struggling to breathe. A chill ran down his spine. "That child, is he?" "You don't need to ask," she cut him off, still watching her son. "You already put a price on him once, didn't you?" Travis said nothing. The air between them grew heavy. The man who once signed a check to erase a life could now do nothing but stand there, haunted by the sound of rain and memories he thought he'd buried. Then the door behind him burst open. A group of reporters rushed in, cameras flashing like lightning. "Mr. Holt, there are rumors that you have a secret child with your former housemaid. Can you confirm if the boy in the emergency room is your son?" Lila froze. Hot tears welled up, but she swallowed them back. She wouldn't let them see her break. Not again. Travis looked at her, then at the cameras pointed straight at his face. He could say yes. He could tell the truth. End the lie. Step out of the cage of reputation with one sentence. But 3 years had trained him to react with logic, not with heart. "No," he said quietly, then louder. "No, I don't know her. She used to work for me, and now she's trying to use my name." Whispers spread. Cameras flashed faster. For a moment, the world seemed to crumble beneath Lila's feet. She lifted Caleb, pulled the blanket over his small body, and walked slowly through the crowd. No one stopped her. No one said a word. Only the sound of rain hitting the glass roof remained, and the sharp scent of disinfectant clinging to her like a nameless humiliation. Travis watched her go, his throat tightening. He couldn't take his eyes off her. The woman who once tied his tie each morning, who smiled softly when he frowned at weak coffee. The woman he thought he could forget. And the child, those gray eyes, mirrored the part of himself he'd spent years trying to bury. "Mr. Holt, shall we go?" his assistant whispered. He didn't answer. Outside, the rain grew heavier. Travis stood there staring into the space where Lila had vanished, feeling as if the world had just dropped something he could never recover. That night, when he returned to his penthouse, the silence pressed in around him. Everything was immaculate, perfect, just like his life was supposed to be. On the table lay the afternoon paper, Billionaire's Secret Baby? He picked it up, fingers trembling slightly. Below the headline was a grainy photo, Lila holding Caleb, her face half hidden by messy hair. But the boy's eyes looked straight into the lens, storm gray, deep, clear, and frighteningly familiar. Travis folded the paper shut. He leaned against the wall and exhaled slowly. Only one sentence echoed in his mind, her voice from that hospital hallway. "You already put a price on him once, didn't you?" And for the first time in years, Travis Holt wasn't sure if he was still the man he thought he had control over. That winter in New York was colder than any in recent memory. Snow covered the worn sidewalks, and the wind from the Hudson swept between tall buildings, carrying the damp scent of loneliness. Lila Carter pulled her old wool scarf tighter around her neck as the bus stopped in front of the Holt residence. A secluded mansion in the Upper East Side, its gray stone walls and towering iron gates as cold as the man who owned it. She pressed the doorbell. The sound echoed across the snow-covered courtyard. A butler opened the door, elderly, stern, his eyes assessing. "You're Carter." "Yes, Lila Carter. Mr. Holt doesn't like people being late. Follow me." Inside, the house was another world. Elegant, immaculate, and frighteningly silent. Dark wood-paneled walls, high ceilings, and a crystal chandelier that reflected faint light. Every footstep echoed like a warning to tread carefully. Lila followed the butler down a long hallway, lined with abstract paintings until they stopped before a heavy walnut door. "Mr. Holt is working. You'll wait there." Through the narrow gap of the half-open door, she saw Travis Holt for the first time. He sat behind a massive desk, dressed in a white shirt and black tie, the winter light from the window outlining the sharp lines of his face. She had never seen anyone quite like him. Proud, distant, weary, like a marble statue pretending it still held warmth. "This is the new one, sir," the butler said. Travis didn't look up. "Fine. 6-month contract. Renew if she performs well. If not, let her go." The words were simple, emotionless, but enough for Lila to understand that in this house, people were measured only by time and efficiency. Her work began the next morning. At 5 a.m., she rose to brew coffee, mop the marble floors, change the flowers in the living room, prepare the dining table, and organize papers on her employer's desk. The butler repeated his warnings. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't look at him for more than